Welcome back to the Shine Within podcast. Rachel Corpus is an angel in human form, born with extraordinary abilities to connect with the spiritual realm. From a young age, she has interacted with angels, spirits, and other high vibrational beings, guiding her to become a healer and teacher. Rachel uses her gifts to help others remember their divinity, access the quantum realm, and evolve into their best selves. As a professional channel, she collaborates with angels, ascended masters, and more, committed to being a liaison for spirit in all she does. Wow. Thank you so much, Rachel, for being on my show today. I've been looking forward to our conversation.
Gina, me too. Thank you for having me on your beautiful show. You really do shine from within. I can see it.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you. Yes, everyone always says, I can see you radiating. I'm like, oh, awesome. But I feel it,
Yeah.
we were just discussing about being sober and how amazing it is now that we're both sober. You are 2 years, amazing 2 years, and I've been sober for a while now too. And it's just a whole new life. And I notice that I'm so much more connected to the divine because I'm sober. I mean, I've always had connectivity, trust me. Lower vibrational entities mostly, but now
Mhm.
it's completely different, and I'm experiencing the magic. And I am just so grateful and appreciative and so happy to be here at this time because I chose to be here at this time. And
Sure.
yeah, and I'm learning that right now. And that's why I was just sharing with my husband, like, I just cannot wait to talk to her because I had my Akashic records read to me, and I am a star seed from Andromeda. So
Oh,
I come from a
wow.
completely different galaxy, which explains so much. I'm here to help the ascension of humanity to learn who they are as a spiritual being and have them wake up. And so that way, this can ripple effect can just go and everyone can love and that collective human consciousness comes together because we are one. We are love.
Yes. Yes. And
Yes.
that's really beautiful, simple, but complex thing for us to remember once we're here is that we're all one and we're all wearing this different, each of us chose a different costume. And before we were born, we had time to create this beautiful costume we're wearing bit by bit, which is funny because I don't always love my costume, my body. Although I'm the one that apparently created it with source and my angels helped. And so all of us here walking around, whether we are from Andromeda or Pleiades, or we are from the angelic realm, hi, isn't it interesting that it matters, but it almost doesn't, does it? Because we're all one. We're all connected. We somehow are all from the same. You're from by the ocean. You know, I love the ocean. We're from the same ocean. We're little drops of the same ocean. If we took all of our costumes off and we just looked at each other as spirit, we're the same love. We're all the same brand, baby.
That's right. Wow.
Yeah.
So you describe yourself as an angel in a human body. Can you share how you first realized this and what it's like to live as both a multidimensional and human being?
Hmm. I've kind of always known, but I didn't know that that's what I knew. I've always known that I was something different, but it didn't feel like I was something better. It didn't feel like that. But I knew I had a different type of connection with God. Things would happen with me when I was little. When I was praying, my hands would feel like they were fusing together in like like I had light that would pour into my hands at mass. I would be holding my hands together like a little kid, just 4 or 5 years old, and I could see my hands disappear and it would be pure light. And I would think to myself, am I turning into a superhero? And then as soon as I thought that, it would stop. I'm sure because my angels were like, no, no, we don't want you to get too big for your britches. But things like that were common for me. And I could see angels flying around. I could see people, humans, because angels really have not been human, which makes me a complete weird anomaly. We can talk about how that happens. But I could see people who had passed. I could talk to animals. I knew some things about the future. I knew the real stories of the Bible and how they had been edited or completely made up. And then I had a near-death experience. I've had a few, but my first one was when I was 4. My parents were in a car wreck with me and my brother in the car, and I was out of my body, and I went to the other side. And they told me in the angelic realm, the rest of the angels said, "Okay, hi, welcome home. This is who you are." And they showed me. And I remember all of this very clearly because when I was out of my body, I wasn't just a 4-year-old little girl. I was in I call it my Rachel angel consciousness. I remember hearing a voice come out of me that was, well, who is this grown-up voice? And it was me. And I sound like I do now. And I still had some thoughts flickering in there that were little kid thoughts like, well, if I stay with them, who will I play with? And they were saying, well, you don't need to worry about that. You'll get used to being an angel again. And they had these looks on their face like, wait, she's really playing this role well. She really knows how to be a little kid. But I was trying to figure out, I was so used to I'd been a little kid for 4 years. And all of a sudden I was out of my body, having this out of body experience, this near death experience. And I was bilocating. Part of me was in my little body, part of me was walking around heaven. And they basically were showing me what it could be like if I fulfilled my mission on earth, which was to stay here and be a teacher, a very gentle teacher, which is someone who often teaches by example, and a messenger. That's what an angel does. Shares gentle messages. And my main message is we are not separate from each other. We're not separate from source. Or I could stay there and I could be with the rest of the angels. And then my little 4-year-old self remembered, oh, that would make my mom sad. And as soon as I remembered that, poof, I was back in my little body. And coming into this time, I have a very high vibrational frequency, and it maintains itself rather naturally. So I witness myself being a very loving, non-judgmental person, and I appreciate that. I see the best in people, and I really, like I said, I don't have to manage that. It just is. I find that my angels are really good to me because I don't find that people really take advantage of that. It just doesn't happen. I mean, every once in a while. And I have a very beautiful life. It wasn't always that way. I've been through a lot. Took me a lot to get here. I've done a lot of shadow work, a lot of therapy, been through a lot of addiction. Oh, so much. So it wasn't always this way. But that was part of my mission, was to create a very beautiful, complex life as a human. Otherwise, how would I know how to help if I didn't experience it? And for the most part, I'm on the other side of the trauma and I am not gliding through. I'm still in it, but my vibrational frequency is so consistently love that even when bad things happen, I can handle it from the perspective of, okay, God, what do I do with this? Now, the other part of that, Gina, is I can be a real bitch. But I saved that for my husband, bless his heart. And he, of course, knows that I'm an angel. And so he will say, hey, you're being a little hard on me. What's that about? You fix that or I'm on the couch. And he's just the love of my life, and he balances me. And of course, I'm really good to him. I really am. I'm exaggerating a little bit, but I'm really blessed that I have him. He's my rock in my life, and he really grounds me. And when I look into our history together, that was orchestrated by spirit. We certainly chose each other, just like you and your husband certainly chose each other, and you have that contract together, because I may be full angel in a body, but I'm here for a human experience. And the human part of me, I navigate human stuff. I have stomach aches. I get worried about money sometimes. I'm a mom, so I can lose my shit once in a while. Oh, hi, I cuss. You know,
All good, all good.
it's a human experience, and it's wonderful. And like everyone else, I'm here for the awakening. So I noticed that I'm asking my angels if this is accurate. And they're letting me say, this is kind of accurate. I'm about a chapter ahead, maybe a chapter ahead, when it comes to my body moving into the crystalline form. And maybe they're saying, okay, that's a stretch. Maybe I'm a little bit ahead of everybody else. Maybe, depends on the moment, depends on the day. But I get to experience it, not because I'm better or more studied. No, it's just like sometimes I get to be the one who walked through the fire first. So I can say, okay, it's not so scary. Come on. So I'm adjusting to the 5D first. Often so when the babies are born, or the children who are being diagnosed with ADHD or something, or their caregivers are navigating it, I can say, all right, I can see that. Can I help you talk through it? Maybe I have a client who's getting out of the prison system or something like that, and they're like, okay, how do I find my feet here? And it's actually awakening based. It's not really earth based, it's awakening based. So my angels are letting me say I'm about a chapter ahead with the 5D stuff, which allows me a lens to see where we're going. I'm going to be really careful with my words there, because I don't want to appear like I'm ahead of everyone, because I don't feel that I am. It's more like not this way, it's like this way. Yeah, it's rounder, not
Yeah.
up, rounder. Does that make sense?
Totally makes sense. And it's so beautiful how you orchestrated that because it's very true. And I go through the same thing. I just want to back up and ask you a question. Okay, so when
Yes.
I talk to my husband and I tell him, "Oh, I'm this and I'm from this," and he just like laughing at me and then he'll make it a joke. He wrote me a card. It says, "My wife from Andromeda, who thinks this Earth is flat, and this is." But he'll make it into a joke now. But how did your husband receive you when you told him that, hey, I'm actually an angel in human form here?
He knows.
He knows.
Yeah,
That's
his
awesome.
he knows. There was a time that my husband and I, um, this was when our children were really small, and I was a school teacher, and I thought I was really thriving, but I wasn't. And my ego was really pushing to stay there. And my husband was commuting an hour. He was a voice professor, and he was struggling emotionally, but he was gonna do that forever for me. He would have. And God was starting to speak to me, and I wasn't very religious at that time, and I was not spiritual at that time. It was dormant in me because my ego was so big. And our marriage was really rocky, and I didn't want to see that either. I just wanted to blame him for everything. I really did. And there was this moment in our little kitchen, and he had been asking me, or kind of just mentioning, we're living in a small town, and now we live in Des Moines, Iowa. So not a big city, but big to us. And he had been saying, we should can you think about moving to Des Moines? Because it would be a lot easier on me. It'd be easier on my back. It'd be easier on my heart. Like, we need to get out of this little town. We do. And I'm like, no, 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 you're right, 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 right. Ego, ego, ego. And then there's this moment where I was in my classroom and I just felt God say, shut up. There's something better. And I said, okay, okay. And I just felt the universe go click. I mean, I felt it. It's like something happened. I really felt, it's almost like I saw it and I felt it at the same time, a timeline shift. And then that night or the next day, we were standing in our little kitchen and he mentioned it again. And I said, okay, let's go. And the look on his face, I'll never forget because he was not used to me giving in like that. And as soon as I saw how easy it could be to collaborate instead of fight, our marriage changed. And I've taken the path of least resistance since, and we've become best friends ever since. And then I started to just tell him everything that was going on in my life. And I looked at him with the lens of, he's not going to judge me. He's not. And if he doesn't understand, that's because that's not where he is in his journey. And for a while I would say to him, you're not going to believe this, or this is going to be really weird. And he finally said, would you not do that to me? Would you not preface that? Because you're underestimating me. So now I just say, today, this is what my angel said. Today, this is what came through to me. And I allow him time to process it. And it's really beautiful because what it has done is it allows him, as my partner and best friend, it allows him space to figure out who I am as a complete person. Then it allows him space to ask himself, well, then who am I? And who are we as a couple? And I don't have to project my feelings of, well, I have to prove myself. I have to prove that I'm an angel because I lived with this person, blah, blah, blah. My ego. No, my ego has just calmed down. So that's how we do it. So
Wow.
over the years, we've been together about 25 years. We've just learned that, if he comes home and he says, I'm going to start growing a unicorn horn out of my butt, I'm going to say, what do you need from me? I will support you. And I'm going to have my game face on. But I will say, in all honesty, what's true is true, and he knows it. And he's a very spiritual person in his own way. And I can see one of my gifts is being able to see all of my other lifetimes, and he's always in there, always. Not always as my husband, but he's always in there. And I want this lifetime to be one where he doesn't have to rescue me. Give that guy a break.
That is so awesome that you can actually see that. That's amazing. I am hoping that one day that I'll get there as well. But
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
as a professional channel, you work fluidly in the quantum realm and multiverse. Like I've actually experienced something, and this is when I was heavy in my drinking one time where I felt like I was out of my body. And I kept on going back into the same scenario, but everything looked different. It was getting darker and darker. And then I was shoved back inside. There was like this film, like this rainbowy film between the hallway and my bedroom door. I got shoved back inside and made it sound like whoomp, like that. And I saw my body. But the weird thing is that I was able to go to my body and I felt mass. Like I felt like there was a body there. And I just calmly went back into my body and then like woke up and was freaked out because I wasn't spiritual or religious. I think that day I started like praying. I was like, I don't know what's going on. Please help. I called my mom that day. So I
Yeah.
have had experiences with these different realities in the multiverse. Can you actually explain what these concepts mean and how they play a role in your work?
Yes, absolutely. It's very possible that when you were experiencing that, even though you're choosing a life now that doesn't include alcohol, brava, very good. At that time, your essence was so loose that you stepped out of this version of you, and you stepped through an ethereal passageway, we could say, and the multiverse, that's a way that we're explaining in quantum physics. We now have formulas that help us know that wherever, Gina, you have made a significant choice in your life, the opposite choice has sprouted another version of you. And that version of you is living another life. And those lifetimes are happening all around us. We don't typically see them because they're constructed. The best way we could imagine would be if you're watching television and you're watching one channel, well, that's this life. We're only paying attention to this life. But all of your other lifetimes, they're playing on other channels, but you won't run into them because you don't play other channels simultaneously. You're just watching one channel at a time. So this is your core lifetime. But because you were inebriated, you were able to step out of this lifetime. Your body was safe for a few minutes because you weren't doing it purposefully. You stepped out and you walked into those other channels and you looked at them. And instead of going, I don't know if this part's really accurate, but we're going to pretend, instead of going up and seeing versions of you that were in goddess land, you went down and you saw some lower vibrational stuff, which is why your guides, and I'm seeing that they were behind you, because if they were in front of you, they might have appeared dark because of your perspective, because you were inebriated. So they were behind you and they were gently pulling you back into the veil. And because you are so beautifully light-filled, you saw the veil as rainbow. Yeah. So that they pulled you back in and they were infusing into you, this is your ability, this is for you, but not in this way. Do it in a different way. Do it in a shamanistic way, or do it in meditation. Do it without adding something to your body. You don't need anything to help you travel. You can do this wide awake. You can do this in meditation, or you can do this with us in your sleep, astral travel. Or even if you feel comfortable with a guide using microdosing or psilocybin, that's fine. You know, we don't judge people. That those journeys are just fine. Of course, they've been on the earth longer than we have. But that's where you went. You went in other versions of you, and you went in some of the versions that were playing, and those versions were likely working out things in this psyche that are probably trauma based, or things that you don't consciously want to look at. And so those other lifetimes are taking care of that for you. Now, the lifetimes in the multiverse that we'll say are up here vibrationally, the goddess lifetimes, these are the things that you can strive for. And these lifetimes look exactly like you. They often are, when you go into them, you might see the same house you live in now. You might see the same scenery, but they're just little differences because those universes are just a little bit different. And if you go in there enough, and you should go in as when you go in as the observer. You see a version of yourself. You don't want to talk to her. You just want to be the fly on the wall. You don't want to make any significant changes. But I'll tell you in a moment. I'm going to write this down so I don't forget it. I'm going to teach you in a minute how to breathe in a timeline that you want.
Oh, wow.
Because when you're in those upper timelines, if you see something that you know, oh, I would like that in this timeline, you can bring it in. Or if you're in this timeline, anything that you wish to have or anything that you want to amplify, let's say, okay, I really desire to have a lake house. Just because I want that, I can promise myself it's happening in another version of the multiverse. So there is a process that the angels have shown me where you can copy and paste it into this version. this lifetime. I want to teach it to you today and your listeners. Is that okay?
Oh my goodness, of course. And by the way, that is one of my goals is to live at a lake house. I kid you not.
Yeah. I think they know. That's why it came
Oh,
through.
okay. Oh, I was like, how'd she know? I'm like, well, duh, now she should know.
I don't know, but they know.
Yes,
And
information
then
being passed.
the, and then your what we used to call past lifetimes or other lifetimes, those are also around you, but that would be you in other costumes
Yeah.
when you incarnated in the Wild West or in the 1930s in Egypt. Those are around you too, but in the multiverse, you look like Gina. And sometimes a small choice, you get an ice cream sundae with peanuts. And so a small choice, an ice cream sundae with no peanuts will create a small lifetime, and that lifetime will just fizzle out. It'll just last a couple of months and it'll just dissipate. We don't have to worry about those. But it looks like when I go into your multiverse, you've got really about 27. I see 27 significant lifetimes that are resonating that can affect this one in a beautiful way. And you are in control of them. We are in control of our multiverse lifetimes. We are, and they're part of us. We own them. This is our data, just like we own the clothes in our closet and we can decide what to wear and what to leave in the back of the closet. It's the same thing with our lifetimes. Would you mind if I shared with your listeners now how to copy and paste that good stuff into this timeline?
Please do. Yes.
Because it's so simple. Okay, so the angels told me that they call this breathing it in like fresh baking bread. And so to do this, you and your listeners are going to need something that smells good, like fresh baking bread or any scent that you like. It could be perfume, aromatherapy, but it's got to be something that is a powerful scent that you love. So we go back to the concept that anything that you wish to grow, amplify in your life, and it must be for you. So we can't work with someone else's free will. Can't make someone fall in love with us. It's got to be for you. And whatever that is, you can count on it's happening in one of your parallels. And what we want to do is we want to take that good thing and it'll keep going in that timeline, but we want to copy it, paste it into this lifetime. So what we're going to do is we're first going to do a dress rehearsal. We're going to practice imagining that in our life with detail and imagine that as this is like manifesting for a second. Imagine it with detail and put the feeling with it. Play with that for a little bit. And then when you feel like you're ready, then you get the scent ready. So let's say we're going to use the fresh baking bread. So get some of that ready, maybe get some take and bake, get it in your oven, get that scent going. When that scent is filling your house, then you bring in the thought of what you want to copy and paste. So you're thinking about it in as much detail as you can. And this is present tense, it's happening now. Then you put the feeling. Okay, so you're at the lake house. You're imagining yourself at the lake house. You're looking good. Oh, it feels great. You own this. This is your place. And then you bring the feeling in. How does it feel? Once you have this ready, then you count to 3. And as you inhale the fresh baking bread, this is when you're copying the data. So you breathe it in. Data is copied now with the scent from that other timeline. You breathe it in. Data copied. And as you exhale, it comes into this timeline. Done.
Wow. It's so
You do it once.
simple, so
I
powerful,
know.
right? Simple yet powerful.
Yeah. The
Oh,
scent is so important to us as humans. And you just do
absolutely.
it once. Then as you go along your life and you think, oh, I wish I had a lake house, then you get to say, oh, I do. It's
Mm.
creating itself in this timeline. I already copied and pasted it. And then it becomes a reminder, oh, I've done that. Now you're just waiting for this timeline to catch up to itself
Yes.
because you've already done it.
Yes. I often
Wait for
say,
directions. Yeah, you can wait for directions from your angels about, okay, now what's your legwork to create it? But you've done the copy and pasting.
yes, I said your higher self is already out there. She's just waiting for you to catch up. And
Yes.
that's what I feel like I'm at in my life right now. I'm catching up. I'm experiencing some quantum leaps, some things that I thought I would never do in my lifetime that I'm like,
Yeah,
wow, this is actually happening right now. Who is this
that's right.
Gina? Who is this
That's
Gina?
that's right.
And this is what I try to teach my children as well, because
Mm,
they are so gifted and so connected to the divine. For me, I was taught don't feel, don't cry, don't do
mm.
that, don't do that. So many rules, rules, rules. Now, you often talk about the new generation of awakened children. What
Yeah,
makes these children unique, and how can we best support their spiritual growth and leadership?
we listen. We listen to them. And by listening, I hear, so Archangel Gabriel, do you mind if I channel this answer?
Please do. Yes, yes, yes.
Okay. Let me see who wants to come in. I'm pretty sure it's Gabriel, but let me just give them some time to, I'm surprising them a little bit. Okay, it's Gabriel. Okay. All right. Archangel Gabriel is moving through me, and I'm still going to use my voice. He's right here. And so he's not going to speak directly through me today. I don't know why. Maybe it's because it's close to my bedtime.
Yeah.
No, but this is what he's saying. He says, our channel Rachel is correct. The best way we can support is by quieting ourselves and observing, because our children, your children, are coming in as the experts. And these children are balancing between knowing they are the experts and not knowing yet, because they are coming in with their trauma from other lifetimes and they're coming in with it boldly. And this trauma includes trauma from their ancestry. And when I say trauma, my friend, I mean trauma that is what you mentioned, our blessed Gina, family that has told them, keep your light small and don't speak up too much. And your giftedness is not of God. And what we're doing is we're encouraging these children, now is your time to be born and be awake, be bright and shiny. And they are here to heal the world simply by being themselves. And these children, in their fingertips and in their hearts and in their cellular system, in their brains, they're coming equipped with new data systems. They are able to create technology that the world has not seen before. Some of this technology is not the technology we think of in computers, but technology of the body. And they will be able to balance the fear that comes from humans wondering, what will AI be like? What will happen when the extraterrestrial helpers are here? Will it be in balance with the humans? Yes, of course, because your children are here and they are from all of those realms. And so they are here to guide all of that. And so, to answer your beautiful question, our Gina, we would like you to know that, well, first of all, we honor you as a mother, Gina, because you are very much leading the way as as a guide for your children. That you often just say, "Well, could you tell me more? How are you feeling? I don't understand. Could you show me?" And we're hoping that there are more adults, parents, caregivers, grandparents, teachers, oh, especially teachers, who will say, you tell me. I will be quiet so you can tell me. And that is going to be the way, because the children are becoming the no, Rachel Respeak, thank you. They are the experts and they are becoming used to their voices being heard. And so the action item will be empower them, give them back their internal microphone. Gabriel, say more about that. internal microphone. Their throat chakras must come awake.
Mm.
Help them sing. Help them incorporate their bodies without shame. Yes, and bring the earth back. They will not need as many pharmaceuticals. They will need earth elements to help them grounding, holistic food, true organic food, not just food that is labeled organic, but homegrown food. And they are here to see the collapse of the systems, the school system, the church system, the government system, the money system, every system, he says. And then Archangel Azrael pops in, and Azrael is dressed as a construction worker, and then we'll rebuild with them. I'm seeing, okay, Rachel speaking here. I'm seeing a lot of dominion angels from the rank of dominions that are dressed in human clothing. We'll be there with work boots on. Archangel Azrael will be there with us, guiding us. We are the angels that will be incarnating. A lot of us are being born right now, not just earth angels, hybrid angels that are half angel, half human, but actually like Rachel, full angel in a human body. And like Gina, star seeds. So many more are being born because this is the time where the earth is being washed and shifted, washed and shifted. And then they tell me so many people, okay, this message is going to be a doozy. Hear the whole thing, everybody, hear the whole thing. In the next few years, many people will be dying, and it's because so many children want to be born. So Gabriel, I'm laughing because he is, and it's a gentle laugh. Okay, so there are children in the form of old people that don't want to be here now, but they want to be in a new body that is open and ready to receive. So they are choosing to come back in a new form because their current form is not able to see through the lens of no fear or acceptance. And so they're going to choose to shift out of this costume and come in through a new one, and come in through parents who are modern hippies. Modern hippies, Asriel says, modern hippies, and he's dancing. Modern hippies, modern hippies. And that's what the upcoming like exodus of people will be about.
Wow, I'm speechless. I feel warm and tingly everywhere too. What's interesting is that I did lose 5 family members last month in July.
Oh,
So
Gina, I'm so sorry.
thank you. Yes, it was a very challenging month, but I mean, they're still here. They're not gone, but I just cannot see them personally. I cannot see them, but they
Yeah.
come as forms of insects. They stop by and
Okay.
say hi. I feel their
Yeah.
presence. You know,
Good.
it's I feel the love still, and they're happy. So
Yeah.
it's
Still
kind of
there
just,
for us. We really understand they're not gone. It's
yeah,
still
it
the human
hurts
side of
though.
us
It
hurts.
hurts.
Yeah,
It
it
hurts. It
hurts.
hurts. But my children, wow, especially the youngest one, he's 8 years old. And since he was a baby, I mean, he's just bright. He is shining, like shining, shining, shiny. He will meditate. He always did this rocking thing and just
Mm.
singing. And he still does it to this day. He started doing it when he was able to sit up on his own and then
Probably
rock.
in the womb. Did he do it in
Probably,
the womb? Did you feel it?
most
Did he move a
likely.
lot?
Yes, he
Wow.
did move a lot. And I asked him questions. I said, what do you feel? What do you experience? He said, I see portals. I said, you see portals. And I think he's able to go places and he comes back. And it's so interesting. And I let him share his dreams with me. He talks about being in space and getting his spacesuit, running away from the bad aliens. Bad aliens, he's telling me reptilians. And he's like,
Reptilian.
yeah, and he's like, I'm jumping, and then they wanted to catch me, and I ran and I got out and I escaped. And I'm just like listening. I said, honey, we need to write this down. Let me type this out. This is so cool.
Yes.
But I allow him that space to share. And I think it is so important. It's so true that we just are there just to listen because they are the experts. I'm
Oh my
learning from
gosh.
them.
Yes.
It's amazing.
Me
So,
too.
yeah. Oh,
Yeah, me too. Oh, I'm so glad you are. I don't know what the
yes.
fall of the I keep hearing the angels saying the fall of the schools. And I don't know what
Yes.
that's going to really look like, but I know it's been happening for a long time. The schools public school system hasn't been meeting the needs of children for a long time. Long time. But I know it's
Yes.
going to be breaking. I can't see what that's going to look like. Can you see it? Have you channeled much about that?
So I'm trying to learn how to channel, but what I feel, because I'm feeling more so, is that more families are going to be working together. Like I feel like the money system is not going to even be there anymore, and it's going to be
Ah,
through exchanging like goods and services.
blades.
And I feel that yeah, so you know how they wanted the mom to get out to work so the children could be taken care of by somebody else, and then the school will take care of it. But the school are trying to teach them a different system, the way the conditioned way. But yet
Yes.
there's a lot more homeschooling, I believe. And
Yes.
just for me, what I've discovered is like I'll use my little Peyton as an example again, is he has a passion for giant squids. I read him one book when he was 2 years old. It was my other son's fifth grade book, and it was sea monsters of this or sea creatures, monsters of the sea or something like that in the giant squid. So I read that. He is very fascinated with that. So I always say, you know what? You take your passion, we go with it. I said, tell me or give me an oral report about it. At 4 years old, he could let me know what the difference between the colossal squid was and the giant squid. Full on report. I said, you draw those pictures. I have a whole bunch of paintings and art of the giant squid. And so I really feel like, learn I guess the basic math, English reading, writing, but yet find mentors or
Yes.
other teachers who are so knowledgeable in that topic that they just teach you so you can be the best and more and the best at that subject is what I'm
So
thinking.
it's guided to it. Yeah, that's really what we did with our oldest is that we homeschooled her from fifth grade on. And what we did was unschooling. So
Yeah.
we guided her. I don't even want to correct. It wasn't really even curriculum. She learned the basics, but we figured out with her what her passions are, and we taught toward that. It was not a perfect system. We would do a lot of things different. But I'm with you on that. As you speak that, I'm getting chills and I'm getting a lot of yeses from the angels saying that's what it will look like. And a lot of parents will get together and older children. Oh, and children will collaborate together and teach each other.
Mhm.
Children will teach each other. It'll be a lot of peer learning. And I'm seeing a lot of teachers who were in the public school system will be employed by parents. Parents will oh, pool their resources together to pay teachers. Oh, that's interesting. And it will be a homeschooling kind of thing, and it will be geared toward children's abilities, not like a cookie cutter system. And they'll be teaching, the angels are calling it truth with a capital T, and not, I think you were referring to this, not what the school is pushing out towards children, which is really not the truth about, history is just not kind of like the Bible. The version we have now is, mm-mm, not what happened. That's not what happened.
Or the words are so
Group
twisted.
up.
And this is another thing that my husband and I kind of disagree on. The Bible's great as a tool.
Mhm.
Um, but I really get my information from source itself, you know,
Yes.
and I've learned a lot and I've realized that they've taken a lot out. I mean, there's a lot of information. I mean,
Lots of books of the Bible didn't make it in.
yes, and a lot of this goes back to the Anunnaki times,
Yes.
where they were the ones here.
And the
And
Pleiadians.
and
Yes.
yes, and so yeah, exactly. So that's why I was like so excited to talk to you. I'm like, no one understands me.
I got you, girl. And I know a lot of your listeners, I know your listeners are like your soul family too, and they get it.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Well, and
yeah,
the Bible was written 500 years after it all happened as well. So, how much gets what happens last week? And by the time we tell three people, the story's different. 500
exactly.
years later, come on.
It's like that telephone game where you whisper in somebody's ears a phrase or so and it gets passed on, and it was like not even the phrase that it started off as, you know?
And I love the men in my life, but if we send my dad to the grocery store to get 5 things, 3 things on the list come back, 15 things that were not on the list also come back. So, I mean, if we're trusting the men, sorry, men who are listening, I love you, but if we're trusting the men to write the stories or edit the stories, we need some women in there. And the women who wrote the Bible, their versions were not included. So
Yeah, you're
we're
right.
missing half of it.
Yes, Mary Magdalene.
Yeah,
That's
her
right.
version is not in there.
It's not in there. And then the
Yeah,
book of the 12 disciples or something like that.
the
And then
scenes.
the book
Yeah,
of Thomas and all
right.
these other books, Book of Enoch. And my husband was like, there's no book of Enoch. I said, there is a book of Enoch.
Oh, yes. And that's where we learn about the so-called fallen angels,
Yeah.
or the rehomed angels is really what Jesus says, or the angels say. They
Is it
weren't really
called the
the fault.
Nephilim? Nephilim?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, good. Yeah,
Yes.
that's right.
So there's so much like because I pray and I was like, I just want to know everything. And I constantly, please give me your wisdom. My spirit guide is Jesus. And I
Yeah,
go and
wow.
I ask Jesus, I just ask Jesus, please, help me, give me the information that I need to know for this lifetime now. And how can I help others? And
Yeah.
and it's like, oh wow. And then I'm discovering like light bulb moments constantly. And it's just amazing to have that relationship where I have access anytime, anytime. All I
What
have to
does
do
he
is
look
ask.
like for you? What does Jesus look like?
I don't see it. So again, I don't see, I feel, and I'm not
Yeah.
there yet where I can
Okay.
see just yet. But I feel just immense love and warmth, like a big hug. And how about you?
Mm.
I'm curious of your opinion.
Well, same feeling, warm hug. And then when he shows up visually, he's often wearing really soft jeans and a t-shirt that looks like it's been washed a whole bunch of times. I can kind of see through it. And dark skin. He's dark skinned,
Yeah.
textured hair. He sometimes wears it really short, which surprises me. He doesn't always wear it long. And sometimes I can't see his feet. I can't always see his feet, but we have this joke that he wears Birkenstocks. So sometimes when he's in a funny mood, he's got a great sense of humor. He'll show me his sandals. But then
Yeah.
other times when he's being serious, I can't see his feet and when he does that, I know that it's going to be a serious conversation, like we're healing someone, or yeah, I'm asking a serious question. That's when I can't see his feet. But most of the time, like you, I just feel him.
Wow. That's
Yeah,
amazing because yeah, something about the feet. Didn't he wash the disciples' feet too?
sure.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
was just thinking about that. Now, just out of curiosity, I know we were talking about the church and the fall of the church as well. I wanted to get your opinion when it comes to spirituality and religion. In your opinion, the difference.
Mm, such a difference. Well, religion is wonderful. It's also rule based. So there we could even look at the Bible as the book of rules, and spiritual. And so we can think of, you know, if we're cooking, we have the recipe. That's religion. That is your recipe to know God. Spirituality, that is, well, I wouldn't say there's no rules. There are a few rules of spirituality. One is everything must be loving, and everything goes to source. And so if you think about cooking, it would be more like, well, what can I put in this soup? Okay, well, whatever I feel like, as long as it's delicious and it's nurturing and I can share it. That's spirituality. Religion is within the box. Spirituality is out of the box. Now you can combine the two. I mentioned to you that I went to mass when I was on vacation, and I often go to church with one of my sons. He's recently found a church that he loves. And, I've been to seminary. I was a pastor for years,
Mm.
and I don't practice religion anymore, but I can go to church and I love it because within the framework of religion, I'm spiritual. So the music, the fellowship, the sermon, the repeated prayers, I don't feel boxed in by religion at all. within religion, I am spiritual. I don't feel boxed in because I've experienced a very intimate, big relationship with Source, with God. Some people in their journey, they may experience just a religious relationship with God, which is, this is the only way you can know God. God is a punishing God, or you must do this to get God's love. To be worthy, you must do A, B, and C. And that sounds religious to me. That's rule based. Or religion in some parts of the world and in some timelines, especially in the past, if we think in time, religion has been used to oppress, still is in some places. That's not spirituality, because spirituality isn't used to oppress. We have to be really careful when we practice spirituality that we don't use it to bully, because sometimes we can be so spiritual that it's so ultra positive that it's gross. We can't say, "Oh, well, just be positive and everything will work out." No, you got to be a real person. No, you can't just rub glitter on it and everything's going to be okay.
I wish it would be like that, but it's not like that. Yeah.
Right. Right. But the I would say the difference between the two are, one is rule based and one is much more intimate with God, and just has a couple of, I wouldn't say rules, but guidelines. It must be loving. Oh, and the other guideline the angels are saying is there is no separation from God. And in religion, there can be a separation from God because of what they said before. To be worthy, you must do this. To get God's love, you must be this. Even in the sacrament of baptism, you must be baptized to be in the family of God. And when I've talked to Jesus, he certainly loves baptism, but you don't need that to be in the family of God. You're already God's family,
That's
you know?
right.
Yeah. I mean, if those things work for you and if you love them, oh, do them. They're so holy and wonderful. But also, I mean, we don't need angels. I'm not needed. We don't need any of this. We just need God. We just go straight to source. We don't need any of this.
Yeah.
And I love to use oracle cards. I love to use my pendulum. All of that is new thought. And people get real weird about, okay, well, I'm seeing a psychic. Is that holy? Yes, it is, because, well, it depends on who you're talking to. So whenever I use my oracle cards or my pendulum, this is a tool I use, these oracle cards, but I'm talking to perhaps my angels. Who are my angels talking to? They're talking to God. Okay, well, at any time I can put the cards down. I can say, "Angels, I love you. Would you step aside? I'm going to talk right to God." I don't need any of that. That's new thought. New age, also no judgment there. Many people practice new age. That's occult. And that could be anything that's witchcraft, Ouija board, not bad, but it doesn't utilize God as the source. It's a different source. And so when people wonder, gosh, am I safe when I play with a Ouija board or when I do occult witchcraft? Well, be careful with it, but just make sure you're surrounding yourself in light and know that God creates all. God created everything, including the occult. So you've got to talk to God and say, okay, this is where I am right now. This is what I'm learning about. God, will you protect me? Or if you say source, whatever your belief system is. But there is new age and there's new thought. And what I happen to do is new thought. I don't love labels, but it helps people know, it helps give them clarity, maybe about what they're doing. So religion, spirituality, new age, new thought.
Wow. Wow. Thank you so much for that. Yeah. And
Yeah.
speaking about vibrations and frequencies, you talk about the
Yeah.
concept about vibrational frequency and how it affects us. Can you actually explain what vibrational frequency is and how we can align with higher frequencies to improve our lives?
Yeah, sure. So your frequency is like your bank account that you came in with. Your frequency is what you're born with. It's what you've accumulated in all the other lifetimes, and you come in with your frequency. By the end of your life, your frequency has probably shifted a little bit according to how you've handled your experiences throughout this life. So think of your frequency as your main bank account. Your vibration, I could say, instead of how you doing, I could say, how's your vibe? Because your vibration switches all the time, always changing. And your vibration affects everyone else. It affects your water quality. It affects your food. It affects everything. Certainly affects each other. I mean, if mom's in a bad mood, everybody in the house gets in a bad mood, right?
Yeah, I often say that too. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember as a teacher that I could certainly tell when there was a full moon because all my students would be wacko that day.
Yeah.
Interesting vibration. So, your frequency is your overall feeling. Your vibration is what you feel in the moment. And as you work on maintaining a high vibration, and that high vibration can be maintained by deciding, I'm aiming for peace. Yeah, I'm aiming to see people without judgment. I am aiming to be present in the moment. We can make these goals for ourselves that are reasonable. And then when we mess them up because we're human, we forgive ourselves. That's very high vibrational frequency. And then, keeping ourselves hydrated, eating good food, grounding, getting our feet in the soil, in the sand, in the water. And as we work with our vibration, it affects our frequency. And at the end of each life, when our body is done, part of our life review is looking at how our frequency has changed. And that frequency blends into the rest of consciousness. So, as we talk about this awakening and the enlightenment, why that's happening is every one of us, when we are, we're not separate from each other, we're not separate from God. But every single one of us, when we decide, okay, I'm going to be in Rachel costume, you be in Gina costume, since we separate bodies for a while, our frequencies separate and we get a chance to wiggle and dance separately. When we come back together, I get a chance to say, all right, this is what I accumulated. How about you? Okay, let's add that together and put it all in the giant bank account of frequency and give it back to God. And God grows with us. And this is how the awakening happens. So yeah, I like to compare it to the bank account. So this is what's in our savings account. And as we go out throughout the day, let's put a little change in there. Let's keep leveling it up.
Yes. And then you actually have an offering for our
Yes.
audience and our listeners here. It's an online workshop called Matrix Magic. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Right. So I'll be offering a few workshops. It's the same workshop, and I hope to offer it a few times. So go to my website, which is rachelcorpus.com. My last name is spelled like Corpus Christi. And that is my real last name. People always ask me that. It is. It's my husband's name, Rachel Corpus. And in this workshop, we're going to work on identifying what parts of your other timelines in the multiverse you wish to bring into this one. We'll go deeper into that copy and pasting process, and we'll work more on frequency and vibration. We're going to do something that the angels call working with the universal Wi-Fi signal. So we'll work on talking to the universe using the universe's language. And it's very much like the Wi-Fi we plug into, but it's our own signal that we have. So we learn to speak the language. It's like coding a computer, but we can do it. And it's really fun and it's very life-changing. So it's one of those things, I don't want to overpromise, but I've found when I do it, and I just sit in my human form and I do these things, I have immediate changes. So I would really just love if your listeners could take part in that. And I want to give a juicy discount. So I think I put that at 10% discount would be great.
Yes,
Yeah.
using the discount code Shine Within at checkout. So make sure you take advantage of this offering. I think I am because it sounds amazing. I love it. Um, but where can our listeners connect with you?
All right. Well, something I do is I have a podcast on the Mind Body Spirit FM network called Angel Talk, and that's available on all platforms. So if you like some things that I have to say, you might catch me on that podcast. And also, I'm on Facebook, Instagram, and you'll find me on YouTube doing interviews like this. And yeah, you'll find me around. This is me.
And I love you. Oh, Rachel, this has been amazing.
I
But
love you too.
oh, thank you. But lastly, is there a message from Spirit that you feel compelled to share with our audience today?
I love that question. Let me center in on that. Okay. I have the angelic realm surrounding us. I want everyone to imagine that their personal angels and their family on the other side, and all of the archangels are circling us, and there are layers of them. And they are speaking through me saying, keep it up. We can see your hard work, and we can't always get in there and help you right away when you ask, but we can hear you. Some of your struggle is part of what you chose to come here to learn. Please don't think we're ignoring you. We hear you, and God hears you. Please keep moving forward 1 inch at a time. Every inch that you take is a mile to us. We believe in you. The best is yet to come. We are so proud. And then they show me that for every one of us that is here on earth right now, there are, I couldn't even count them, so many souls in line to be here on earth right now. And we did not win a lottery or anything. We were chosen to be here. We were chosen, and they're proud of us for how we are handling ourselves. And they really want us to hear that, because some people listening are thinking that they don't know their purpose. Why am I here? And they're saying, you're fulfilling your purpose by being you. Please do a self-inventory and remember who you are. You are made of light. If you are having trouble feeling your light, let your face smile slightly. Let the light pour out of you. You don't have to keep it in. Let it start to come out again. Laugh a little bit. Smile a little bit. Listen to some music. Let it come out. And then I have Azrael coming back to say, we do not want you to worry about what's ahead for your world. It is all part of the plan, and you will be okay. And then he tilts his head. He says, you've been through worse.
Wow. Thank you so much, Rachel. It's been absolutely, like, I'm so speechless. I can't even speak right now.
Oh,
What a wonderful conversation. And I'm just so grateful that you were on my show today. And I just cannot say thank you enough. It's truly been an honor.
thank you. I feel the same. Bless you.
Thank you.